Hello, fabulous Taurus. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of February 2016, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month, early in the month, we've got a new moon happening at the very top of your sky. This is a very fortunate new moon. It is speaking in harmony with other power players in the sky, like Saturn and Uranus. What this says to me as I look at this is this has lucky breaks for you written all over it, especially where it comes to the bigger goals, where it comes to aiming high. And on a more immediate, kind of literal, mundane level, this has to do with interview situations. This has to do with you coming to a deeper understanding of what kind of impression you make, and especially in a larger sense, like from a little bit of a distance, what kind of image you want to project. And especially this also has to do with making the right impression at the right time to the right people to advance yourself up that ladder of success, however you define success at that. So this is a fresh start, a fresh beginning, and fresh opportunities all around. It does look like some of the opportunities that find you with this particular new moon, there is financial benefit to this. There might be something to this that has to do with either commissions or what we call like passive income. So ultimately this is maybe you may have an inspiration of a creative project, a book, or something that you could do that once you do it can make you money for a very long time to come, even after you've done the work. The other great thing about this particular new moon is, it just looks fun, is what it comes down to. It looks like you're getting more clear about the direction you want to go in. Yes, it has to do with career, but also this has to do with understanding your direction, your purpose, understanding what's worth aiming for, what kind of legacy are you creating, taking a big picture perspective, and then understanding that if you are going to give yourself to that aim, you want it to be based on what you love. And so there's a lot of joy here, an awakening that going big, going for your dreams, can actually be a process that is joyous. And this is very much about an element of beginner's luck being with you. There's a book that I love. It's called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It was a huge bestseller back in the day. I'm sure that it continues to be as well. And everybody sort of gets something different out of the book. It's a very powerful little book, but one of the lessons I gathered from it that I thought was very powerful was this idea that when you're on the road of your dream, right? If you're living your purpose, at first, the universe will give you a big reward. You'll get this big paycheck, big feedback. Right away, you'll know that you're on the right track. You'll get a boost. And then after that, sometimes things can get a little challenging. And that is because ultimately, it's not about the achievement of the thing, it's about who you become in the process. And it is that challenge that shapes you and makes you better, so that it isn't about attaining the thing, it's about becoming that person who would have that thing. So we've got you, and we've got this new moon, and there is beginner's luck written all over this. And beginner's luck that is represented in financial terms written all over it as well. As we move later into the month, we have a full moon taking place in the later part of the month. I'll talk a lot more about this where it comes to the love-focused horoscope, because this will speak very powerfully in matters of love. But also with this particular full moon. Now, this is happening in a part of the sky that represents a few different things, but one of the things it also represents is children, whether you have them or you want them, and creative projects, like your creations, if you will. So if you're involved in any kind of creative project, possibly have been for a while, because this is the kind of full moon that says You know this is coming. You can feel this energy coming. There's a sort of a moment of truth that you've kind of known all along, that's been slowly building in the air, but now you're getting ready to sort of admit it to yourself, if you will. So if you've been in the middle of a creative project and for whatever reason, you know it's not resonating, it's not working, this is where you identify it. This is where you spot the holes. This is where you say, okay, we're gonna stop, or we're gonna change this, we're gonna complete this, we're gonna bring it full circle and decide on the best direction to go to start to wrap things up so that you can then feel a sense of lightness as you move forward. This to me says, especially with creative projects, it's about spotting what isn't working. And sometimes that may mean that, you know, you've been going down a certain road and that's not the road for you, and realizing that, that's valuable too. I'll tell you something, it's been said, I share this, this quite a lot. I remember I got this actually once, way back in the day. I remember I was in talks with a publisher. I can't remember their name at this moment, but I remember as part of those talks, they sent me like this little kit, right? Like a submission kit. And one of the first things it said right on the cover is, it said, congratulations, 1 in every 10,000 people that wants to write a book actually writes the book. And out of every 10,000 books that is written, only one sees the light of day. Only one gets published is what they said. But to me, this was, I don't know where they got this statistic from. Even if it is a metaphor, it's a powerful one and probably a pretty accurate one at that. Because everyone I've spoken to who has written a book, they, you know, they tend to say that the first book that you write is not normally, it's unusual for that first book to actually be for public consumption. It tends to be a book that you do so that you garner some experiences, you come to understand your own processes, you come to understand what works, what doesn't, you're learning about your voice, and then you go on to write that book that does end up being published and being part of what it is, the legacy you create, what it is that you put out there. So sometimes it isn't that the book doesn't see the light of day, sometimes it's just there's work to do, or there's another angle at this, or if you're in a different field altogether, but that still involves an element of creativity. This is where you're going to see what's working and what isn't. Even if it means having to cut your losses, there will be a willingness to do that and a willingness to move forward from there. So this is good. Where you see that, no, there's a lot of promise here. This is about deepening your commitment. You'll be able to summon that much more creativity, and you'll be able to be more strategic as well. So finding a way to structure your creativity will lead to the kind of outcomes and also the kind of completions that you're desiring. Now, where it comes to children, if you have children, as I look at this, now depending on how old your children are, there always comes an age that you kind of realize that this is a person who has a will of their own, their soul knows where it's going, and maybe they're not really a kid anymore, if you will. They're not your child anymore. They're now becoming who it is in their own way that they're meant to become. And that tends to be a very interesting point for parents, right? It's this sort of surrender moment that some parents embrace more easily than others, okay? But regardless, this can be that transitional moment or moment that allows you to appreciate that's where you are right now in terms of your relationship with your child. If it's not your child, but children that have been a part of your life, again, this could be that transition where you realize, okay, I think they're growing in a different direction now, and I'm growing in a different direction, and it's all good and it's all okay. If you are wanting children or hoping for children, I would really advise, as I look at this, I see hope really high. That's great, right? You want something to happen, you're motivated, certainly. There's a strong desire for that if you want children. That desire is amplified with this particular full moon. However, my opinion is, as I look at this, I would advise that you hold back from anything that involves a large investment for you, if you consider it a large investment. And even I would even say like fertility treatments and things like that. There are times when, and you want to look at the chart, that it tends to be more favored, okay? So I would like to see that take place. And also I would say that if that's something that you want to do, don't scare yourself with medical advice that sort of throws you in a different direction. That might not be the way to go. It's just 2 weeks. It's just a 2-week period that this particular full moon is active. You've still got Jupiter in this part of the sky. I did an extended video about children and fertility and adoption, and that was recently posted on my YouTube channel, on my website. So have a look at that, because that will give you some very powerful insights, and some great insights at that, to let you know like what to look out for in the sky when you do want to go to your doctor and you do want to say, okay, I want children. How do we move forward from here? Also with this, don't allow yourself to be pressured into anything. I think everybody out there knows that it's a huge responsibility. And if you want that, that's amazing. You'll love every minute, right? That's what they say. If you don't want that, then it's okay to be with that, right? To acknowledge that for yourself. And there may be a little bit of pressure, like external pressure, family pressure with this particular full moon. And of course, you don't have to give into it, right? Be you, own you. Their truth is just as good as your truth. And that is ultimately what matters most, because you are the one who has to live with yourself. And what I love about this month for you is that in many ways that lesson drives home right to the heart of you. And it really is about, what does your heart truly want? What is it that maybe you don't really want? You're getting honest with yourself around that. What is it that is worth pursuing and what isn't? As you clarify that, you will find that attainment, or at least being on that pathway and feeling a sense of luck and feeling a sense of happiness and motivation, becomes that much easier to summon. And all the things else, all the doubts, all the doubters, right? All the other opinions, they just kind of melt away when you are going in the direction that you know your soul is asking you to go.